I'm rolling, and I don't know how much my dad or Giles mentioned to you what I'm working on, but I really wanted to try to capture some of our family legacy kind of on video,
Mm-hmm.
for the archives and just for everyone to see, you know, what what a unique blessing that we have as a family,
Mm-hmm.
and like I told Giles, I wanted to go straight to the top, and just kind of ask you some questions about your life
Mm-hmm.
and the life of mother and pop and your parents,
Mm-hmm.
and really just kind of hear some of the stories
Oh,
about life growing up and what things are like. But first, where I want to start is let me just double check my sound real quick. Can you tell me what you ate for breakfast this morning?
yeah. Sausage, eggs, and toast, and coffee.
Okay, good. Um, okay, well let's start. Another thing is I'm going to ask you questions, and if you could answer them in a way that people understand what the question being asked is, because when we watch this, people may not necessarily hear my voice asking the questions on
Uh-huh.
camera. So, but let's just start with tell me what your full name is and what year you were born.
Pine, Napoleon Growth. I was born 1923, September the 3rd.
And how many tell me how big was the family? Like how many people were in the
It was
immediate family?
four boys and four girls. My your grandmother and my birthday was the same, the 3rd of September. But she was born a different year, but our birthdays come September the 3rd.
And who was the? Can you tell me what the line of order was, like from the eldest to the youngest? And
The oldest was Johnson Growth. He was my oldest brother. And next to him was sister Evelyn. And next to her was Alomay, your grandmother. And next to her was Jeanette. And the next girl's name was Delicia. And my next brother was Major Gross Jr. And next to him was me, Pine Gross. Next to him, me was Irvin, Irvin Gross. We all was a loving family, all everybody. Papa Major Gross, he was the king of the hill on our house. My mother thought he dropped right out of heaven, and that was it. Everything else centered around him. He was the center of the family.
do you know how they met?
Who?
Your mom and dad.
They, they probably met at church, because my father didn't go to school much. He didn't go to school much. My mother went to school. She went finished the seventh grade. But my father had a whole lot of children, and he helped to raise them. My father had to go to work and help to raise the, his family.
And what did Major Gross do for a living?
He was a farmer and a seaman. He worked the water, had boats, and then he had land with tobacco, corn, tomatoes, and that was it. And on the water, he tongued oysters and crabbed and fish. He owned a fishing boat and used to run, care people fishing. He was in it. Grandpa was.
In in what did your mother do for a living? Was she
Oh, Mama raised a family home, and she'd go doing doing cleaning in people's houses down in the town close where we live. She'd go around and do housework for them.
in what town? What town was this?
Out of it, about 4 miles from Salmons, down Salmons out.
And so, what was life like for you growing up in that house with four boys? Were all the girls older, or?
The girls were older.
And so, what was that? What was that energy like between having older sisters and then the younger
It
boys?
was beautiful, beautiful. We were a lot. We were a loving family, all of us. Everybody was just good to everybody. That's the way we were all the time. We every Sunday morning, my father had prayers, and it was just like having a church service. We would all sing a song. He'd lead a song, and we'd all sing together, and then he'd all of us get on our knees, and he would pray about half an hour, just praying for the community and for the people and everything. And that's what life was like. It was loving, very, very loving family.
And was there a lot of like what kind of responsibilities? How were the responsibilities divided up among 8 kids?
Oh, the responsibility wasn't a responsibility thing. It was a thing that we had to work around. The boys did all the work on the outside, and the girls did the work in the house. But mostly my sisters, after they got out of school, they went to work and cleaning houses and taking care of people's houses and things like that. They'd come home on a weekend, but work around.
And did you guys do? Did you do much? I imagine that you did pretty much everything as a family.
Yeah, everything as a family. And when we were growing up, all of us, nobody ate in the house until Papa come home for supper. That's the big meal there. Everybody sat around the table and we all ate. But never no supper. Ate there until Papa come home. He always, would have a job or doing something, be gone somewhere. Unless he was gone somewhere, he would always go to conferences for the conference, Methodist conference at home. He was a delegate for the conference, and he'd go all over the place. Baltimore, Washington, New York, Philadelphia. He was a delegate from the conference. And when he first went there to the conference, they had to send a delegate from the church every year. They would nominate somebody to go, but he changed that rule. Says, because a person going to a conference like that, you couldn't get to know everybody in just 1 year. It took time, So he said it'd be best for to go 4 years, and it went through the whole church. That him making that, putting in that suggestion for to send them 4 years to represent the church, and they could understand more about what the conference was about and how everything goes.
And so community was a big part of that.
Yeah,
Like
bro,
really.
he was big part of the. My father was a Abraham Lincoln Republican. Everything he was a representative of the Republican Party in our part of town. That was him, and he loved it. He loved
And so did you all? So with eight children in the house,
it. Uh-huh.
did everybody pretty much get along all the time?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was it. We were family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't know nothing else but family. All of us.
Did you all used to go like? Did you go? Did you? What were your vacations like? Did you ever go off on vacations?
No, no. When Papa would go to the conference and things like that, he'd take Mama with him, and we'd take him to Baltimore, or Washington, or New York, anywhere he wanted to go. We carried him, and then went back and get him. He'd stay a week at the conference, and me or my sisters or brothers, they would go back and pick him up. Yeah. Then he'd come back. He had to come back and make a report to the church about what the conference said and how everything was going. That was his job, and he liked it. Everybody liked him. He was a people man.
Yeah. What were some of the what were some of the lessons that you learned from him growing up?
One of the biggest lessons I learned from him, if you had to see somebody and you found out who his friend was, you go to his friend and tell him, find out how to get close to him. That was it.
Do you know? So how many? Who was older, you or mother?
Your mother was old. She was older than her.
That's right. Those were older. Do you know how mother met Papa?
Met him at church. And, you know, in town, we was in a Olivet in town, and we met going to church.
And what was it like for Papa? You know, when mother, like, did mother start coming home talking about the Elmakes start coming home talking about Papa? Like, did you already know him from church or you know did?
Already know Pop?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Already know that.
And so when he took a liking to mother, um, what was that? What was that like back then? Like, did
Oh, that was real good then in time like that, because he was going to church, and mother was going to church and singing. He was singing, and my sister was singing too, and so it was more like just like a friendly family affair.
yeah?
Yeah.
So he had instant approval off the bat.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's instant approval.
Did you know how long they were boyfriend and girlfriend before they decided to get married?
Get married. I guess about 10 years. About 10.
And what was when you used to when your dad used to do a lot of the farming and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
did he take you and your brothers out in the fields to work with him?
Yeah, yeah. Took us and showed us how to hook the horse up, how to plant the things in the garden and everything. He showed us that all that. That was it. He showed us, and then we took over.
Yeah.
Do it all. Same thing on the boat. He showed us how to do everything, where to fish at and how to do it. He was it. He was it.
Um, and how often did the, now on Pop side was his whole family was from Olivet too,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Yeah.
the Gross family knew.
Knew my mother was a Johnson,
Okay.
and he married her. The, my father lived back in the, near the water, and he, in order to come out to the main drag, he had to pass by my grandmother's, by my mother's house to hit the main drag. And, grandfather had, I guess, about 50 acres of land, and after he passed, my father bought his all his land.
Yeah.
That farmed that.
And now, did all of you go to school?
Yeah, yeah. All of us went to school, but in uh, in them days when we were coming along, all the all we had was one elementary school, and didn't have a high school. The high school come along after I got old enough to go to high school. The rest of them didn't go.
And then so after, what would you typically do? So you would go to you would go to, if they only had an elementary school, it was until
Mm-hmm.
grade 6 or
Grade 7.
grade 7, and then so once you got done with elementary school, you get a job and
Mm-hmm. Come on.
go on.
Mm-hmm.
Now did your dad serve in the military at all?
No, no, it wasn't. Uh, he wasn't in the army in the World War One or nothing like that.
Um, and what about you growing up? Did you how much time did you really have to, like, did you spend a lot of your time working and helping out around the house, or did you have much time for like playing and just kind of doing things that kids do?
But when I first started working like anything, I worked at the ice plant. We used to make ice for the whole southern part of the county. In Calvert County, we made ice for down at Salmon Island was the ice plant. Now we'd have to go to work at 5 o'clock in the evening and get off 5 o'clock in the morning. That's what was my job. It wasn't so handsome on Sunday, but everybody else going to church and getting doing things, but I had to go to work 5 o'clock in the evening and stay there till 5 o'clock Monday morning.
Yeah. What did you do there?
Make ice
Did
and
you,
sell it.
did they have it? Did they have like I guess a machine? I guess like
Yeah, yeah, they had a machine. You,
you would chop it up, or was it just like ice blocks, or?
we sold it in blocks most of it, but we had machines to chop it up and everything like that. And this place was a storage place where uh, the stores would bring the meats in, the meats would come in from Baltimore, and and then they'd bring them down and keep it at the ice plant. When they come, I'd give them a ticket, and they'd come and pick the meat up and going on back. But like that, it went for we sold ice for half of the county, made ice for half of the county. Then see, wasn't no such thing There's a electric refrigerator that moved in them days. But the ice man come around, brought the ice to your house to you, serve ice like that.
So where would you have like a would you have like a ice box or something? You
Yeah,
put
you
the ice
have
in
an
it.
ice box, put your ice in.
And so what did you what were you like? What were some of the wages like back then for a 13-hour, 12-hour shift from 5 a.m. to?
We don't want to talk about that. Hey, it wasn't much. It
Yeah.
wasn't much and all. It was third.
And did you save most of your money, or did you
No, no, I brought my money home and gave it to my father.
so kind of everybody pitched in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything. Bring it on your papa.
Now, in this work, when you worked at the ice plant, was this after you finished school, or was this while you were in school?
While I was in school.
Okay, so what did you do when you were done with school? What did you do
Huh?
when you were finished with school? Did you just continue to work at the ice plant, or did you move on?
No, I went to work for, let's see, I went to work for a construction company, building houses. Mm-hmm.
And did you serve in the military at all?
Mm-hmm. Air Force. All over. I went off, took my basic training in Texas, in Austin, Texas, and went all over the country. But I never went overseas. Never went.
What did you do in the Air Force?
Mostly trained to be a combat dude.
And can you tell me one of the things that when I think about our family, and the
Mm-hmm.
legacy, um, and especially when I look at like friends that I have and I look at their families,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that I noticed that's very special about our family is the role that God plays in it generationally,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's something that for me it's very unique because I don't necessarily see that in other
Mm-hmm.
families.
Yeah.
I see some people, that have a relationship with Christ,
Uh-huh.
and some people who go to church, but maybe somebody else in the same family it just never played a role.
Uh-huh.
And when I look at our family, it seems like as far as it goes back, that's always been there.
Yeah, it's always been there. Always been there. I've been, uh, I was on the board with God. I've been on the board of our church. I know I've been there 50 years, but that when I was young, I joined the church when I was 7. Then I been on the choir and all like that ever since. And chairman of the board and all that.
So you've always served at some level,
Yeah, in the church, yeah.
and it was like that for everybody in the family.
Everybody in the family, yeah. All of them.
In where what do you what do you when you think about like the role that God has played in your life and in your family, um, like is it something that you're aware of how unique and how special that is, um, in terms of just as a family as a whole?
As a whole, it's a great thing. Been a major part of my life is serving the Lord, and the Lord has been good to me, been good to me. All that time I was working on the water and think I never could swim, never trained to swim. And one day I was tonguing oysters, and when the tongues leave the water, it puts a special train on the rope, and it broke, and overboard I went, and in about 30 feet of water, can't swim, and when I was going down, I had the gloves on. I took them off. I said, I know I got to take these gloves off because I can't be that. I know how to pull up, to swim, pull up like that. I did that 3 times. You automatically do it if you do, you go down 3 times. If you can't swim, you could make any kind of effort, you would come up. So when I had made that 3rd time down, I said, Lord, I can't leave these children like that. And I went to reach up to stroke back up again the 4th time, and my hand hit a rope. And on the other end of that rope was my brother. He pulled me on in and saved me from drowning. My friend, I had a friend, him and I were just like brothers. He could swim like a fish, and he got drowned. We were both doing the same thing, but at a different time. And he got drowned and didn't make it. I owe all that, I think, to the Lord, putting that rope in my hand. I couldn't see the rope. I went to reach up to pull up, and my hand hit against it, and I grabbed it. When I grabbed it, grabbed me on the thing, but when I felt somebody pull it, oh boy, that was a trick. Yeah, he's been good to me. I figure all of that the Lord is doing that. And my father, when I went back home that night, I told him that how I fell over and was coming there getting drowned. He asked me what time was it. I told him, I said it was around about 2 o'clock. He said, I was praying for you then. Say, I was praying for you. Ask the Lord to take care of you out on that water. That was it. That's it.
And was this earlier on when you first started doing stuff on the water, or had you been doing it all this time?
Oh, I had been doing it all the time. But this day that line broke on me. And next morning, I raced back out there again.
No fear at all?
No. I had to do that because they say if you get scared, I guess you would never be able to do it no more. I would lead it on back out there. Bought a new line, went on out there and did it.
Did you attempt to learn to swim after that?
No? Ain't learned to swim no more than now. Never learned to swim. I really should have, though. I really should have learned to swim. My father had a boat at 20 tons. And I run fishing waters on that. I went away and got my captain's license for 20 tons. Then I went to work for the Navy. And the Navy used to give us transportation all the way from Symbols to the base. We'd catch the Navy boat and get over there and go on to work. Then they cut that out before they built the bridge. The Navy said they wasn't going to get no more free transportation. So a guy came down and had a boat to 70 tons. And I saw him, just happened to see him down at the boat dock. I was down there for something, and I told him where I was from. He said he had a boat that if he had somebody to run it. I told him I got 20-ton license, but he said this is 70-ton. I said, well, I'll go away and get them the license then. So I went on and went away and I had to go to the same place I got the 20-ton. I had to go there and take another test. But I went away and got them, and when I drove that boat till the Navy, the guy said he wasn't making enough money with it. He had to pay me and pay all of them. So he stopped running that boat, and then we got a different kind of transportation. But Salmon's on Calvert County, beautiful place to live, nice people,
And you're there your entire life.
our whole life.
And were all your brothers and sisters there their entire lives as well?
Yeah, just about. My older brother, he went to New York, went in the restaurant business, and he stayed up there till he died. We went there and got him, brought him back home.
So tell me a little bit. So obviously, this family spans many generations now,
Uh-huh.
and if you look, I mean, even for my kids,
Uh-huh.
now, my son is 4, my daughter's 7, and if they get older as adults and they want to know, who they are in terms of our family heritage,
Uh-huh.
what would you say to them in terms of telling them, one, what's important in life, two, what do they need to know to remember who they are,
Yeah.
and what tools do they need
Yeah.
to kind of bring them back to that place?
Well, we were always taught to respect people, all people. We had to respect them and be honest, and not steal, never steal, always, and be dependable. If somebody you tell somebody you're gonna do something, you do this, that. And if you tell them you're gonna do it, that's it. My father could go in the bank and he could get more money than the people down there that had money, without any asking who he was and all that. He was just like that. You go down there and everywhere you go, anywhere you go, if they say, ask them who you know or who you know. You told them you know Major Gross. That was it. That was it.
So he had built the respect for that name.
Respect name. His name. Word was his bone. He'd tell you that's something gonna happen. That's it. And he would do that just like that. A friend of mine came down home and was from Baltimore coming back, and the man driving fast. Man pulled him over, told him, said, "Where you from?" He said, "Down Irish." He said, "Who do you know?" He said, "No, Major Gross." He said, "You go ahead. Go ahead, let him go."
Think it'll still work today?
Huh?
Think that'll still work today?
No. No, no.
But officer, I know Major Gross.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Daisy Rose. That was it.